Well, if there was ever an argument for football stadiums needing to require a roof, it would probably be that game. What's going on, everybody? Good evening. Game just wrapped up about 3 minutes ago, and I guess it's not that different from typical Thursday night fare, but man, that was that was not not a great showcase of this sport, was it? 6-3. No scoring in the second half. Punting. One turnover apiece for each. Well, turnover for each team, and just barely over 200 net passing yards from both teams combined. So, that's pretty descriptive right there. This video is powered by BetUS, and they're powering it more than the offenses powered this game on Thursday night. Now, we got the win, so it's cool, right? We remain alive for the moment, but that game was not exactly going to, or is not exactly going to instill confidence in anybody that things are going to be okay. There's a very clear divide here, and you can pretty much draw it with a line straight down the middle. The defense, phenomenal. And the Bears' offense is really bad, and the weather affected them too. So they had some things going in their favor, but the defense still played an excellent game. Very happy with what they were doing out there. And then you got the offense, where, I don't know, maybe Kenny McIntosh played okay. And that's about where it ends. Maybe you could throw like Noah Fant in there. I can't think of anything beyond that. It was one of the ugliest offensive games that you will ever see. And I guess by some definition, this is exactly what I, as a Seahawks fan, wanted to see in this game. Because not only did we win, which I want to do, but that game cannot possibly help Ryan Grubb stick around next year. So I guess by some definition, I kind of got what I was looking for, but that doesn't mean I enjoyed watching it. And there wasn't a lot enjoyable about tonight until it got to the very end there, and it was clear that Seattle was going to win. But let's try to pull it apart, talk about it, what can be talked about with that game. And I don't mean to sit here and say that everything's bad. It's down the middle, like I said, because all the way down the line, pretty much, this defense, what are you going to say about them other than it was almost perfect? And starting with that side of the ball, there are two guys. There were really two guys on this defense that I thought really led the way. Devin Witherspoon and Big Cat. Both those guys were special tonight. Dominant tonight. Leaders tonight. We don't get to this 6-3 win without them. And for them to be the leaders on a defense that allowed not even 180 yards from scrimmage, like that's something special. So our superstars on defense played like superstars. Those are clearly, I think, the two best guys on our team on that side of the ball, and they both played like superstars. So that's the first thing I want to say, because they did stuff that you don't come across every day, and I want to give it full credit. So Big Cat, Spoon, special. Before I go any further, though, I do want to tell you about my friends over at BetUS. There are plenty more games left this week in football. We've got Saturday games, we've got Sunday games, and we've got a Monday game. You can do point spreads, you can do money line, you can do over-unders, you can do game props, you can do other sports, you can do basketball, you can do hockey, college football, whatever you want to do, you can probably do it over at BetUS. And right now, you can get free money, 150% deposit bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000, and 125% deposit bonus on your next two deposits up to $2,000. So get on over to BetUS, get the free money, and get to some sports gambling. Could start it as early as this weekend. Right, so it's not just those two guys, of course. I thought that Uchenna Nwosu actually had a pretty impactful game. Got his hand on a couple of passes, got his first sack in quite some time. I think it's his first sack in like 14 months, maybe 15, something like that. So I think that he maybe is starting to make his argument that he's making his way back from his health issues. I don't know if he is, but I think this game was an argument in favor of it. We had what else? What else? Like I thought Kobe Bryant played a quite respectable game out there. Didn't really notice anything negative from Reek Woolen this week, except the fourth down play, which is just an insane play by Caleb Williams, and I don't know how much I can really put on Woolen for that. I think that Jaron Reed continues to chug along and play at a high level for this team, well beyond anything I was expecting him to be able to do this year. Like it's been pretty impressive. Ernest Jones looked better. Maybe his knee's starting to get better. Like all the way down, man. I want to give credit to the defense, and I want to give credit to the play caller, because I saw a lot of stacked boxes. I saw a lot of overload blitzing. I saw a lot of disguising, and it worked. 7 sacks and many more pressures on Caleb Williams. Like, I know he's a rookie. I understand you can't do that to everybody. If you try to play that way against a veteran quarterback, he's not going to get as confused as Caleb did. But in this game, it was the right thing to do. We threw all kinds of crazy stuff at him. I think there was one play where we blitzed 8 players, and he wasn't able to reliably beat it. And he's a good player. I think he made good plays in this game. He did some positive things for sure, but by and large, it worked. When you needed to dial up pressure, you got it. And it was throughout the entire game. It wasn't just at the beginning or just at the end. That whole game, we got meaningful pressure, and we were, I think that's basically the story of how you get this win, because, I mean, the run defense was fine. I think that Caleb Williams' scrambles made up a decent chunk of their productive running in this game. So, on the whole, I think that the run defense, it's looking a little bit better than it did against Green Bay. I think that there's really not going to be anybody in the secondary to pick on right now in particular. I mean, just on the surface, Caleb has gross 122 passing yards. Really not much you can say about that, except you shut him down. And I didn't notice a lot of missed tackles. There were like 1 or 2. It wouldn't surprise me if PFF gives us like 3 or 4 the whole game. So pretty encouraged there. Really, it took some pretty extra plays for the Bears to do anything. Like the play where Caleb Williams fumbles, picks it up, scrambles up, and then sidearmed it. You know, plays like that. Plays like the 4th down where he just makes a ridiculous throw. Plays like the 3rd and 14 where that was the one play that got on my nerves in this game, because we were having success with the stacked boxes and sending pressure, and on 3rd and 14 where the game might be about to be over, you let Caleb have a very clear and obvious 4-man rush right in front of him. He has like 8 seconds in the pocket, and he finds a receiver, because you're going to find a receiver in all likelihood when you have that much time in the pocket. That was the one thing in this game that McDonald, I think maybe slipped up on. But other than that, it was a special game from the defense. And the Bears' offense is really bad, and I think we're all well aware of that. And they get in their own way, and the weather also helped, but you still have to go out there and execute the plan. And again, when you're cutting a line basically right halfway down the team, that means the other side you're looking at and you're like, well, you show up to a Thursday night football and you put up 6 points and you go the heck home. So it's hard to really say much of anything about this offense at the moment. I will say that there will be no blaming Ryan Grubb for not running the ball this week, because we tried, we did. We had moderate success, mostly in the first half. Second half, not much really. Couldn't really run the ball that well. So overall, the balance was there. Today was more these route combos. Today was more these passing concepts. Today was more situational than it was anything overall. There wasn't a total imbalance this week. It was just little pieces here and there failing. So, um, I would say that there's not as much obvious stuff to get mad at Grub for this week. I'm still not particularly happy with him. I still think that there's some stuff in this game that he isn't grasping, but it's not going to be as clear cut as it was last week. Last week was a clear cut slam dunk. What the hell is this offensive coordinator doing game? This was more of a he just it seems to me that he's just completely depending on the talent to do everything. And that's how you get what you get in a game like this sometimes. I said it in the pregame video. When you're completely dependent on the talent of your team to carry you, then this is what you get. You get a lot of throws into tight coverage, players not getting open for the most part, and either everybody does their job pretty much perfectly, or you get this. So, with that being said, I guess I'll give a salute to Kenny McIntosh. I thought he played a pretty good game, and he was probably the most relevant player on our first field goal drive, which ended up being the best drive of the game for either team. And I can't think of too much else. Like Gino, I don't think Gino did anything egregious in this game, right? And I know that the game plan changes when it starts raining, but he didn't. I mean, he was just kind of anonymous out there, right? He just kind of went through the motions. He didn't commit the crucial mistake, and it was just barely enough. But it didn't really have a lot to do with him. Charbonnet started the game out pretty well, and I don't. And look, it's more about the offensive line than anything else. But still very anonymous as a player in this game. Stuff just strikes me as way too obvious. DK Metcalf, anonymous out there, and he gives back over a third of his receiving yards by committing a really, really dumb penalty after the play's over, basically. Which that's the last thing that we need right now. Okay, people are already sick of DK Metcalf because he's not putting up numbers. We don't need to bring back the DK Metcalf who cannot control himself on the field. We don't. So that was the last thing he needed to do. JSN, I don't think he did anything bad tonight, but quiet, right? Not a big factor in this game. Offensive line, not good. Maybe not even average. I've seen worse. That's about the nicest thing I can say about them. They weren't terrible. Maybe they weren't even bad. It was just kind of flopping around and going through the motions. So I can't think of any layer to this offense that makes me happy after that game, right? I guess Pharaoh Brown had the one turnover, which I got a bone to pick with Grubb about that one, because why are you drawing up a screenplay for Pharaoh Brown? Why are you doing a screenplay for your tight end that has no athleticism or speed or really playmaking ability of any kind? Like, why is that a good play? Why do you think getting the ball into the hands of Pharaoh Brown is such a priority that you have to dial up a play specifically for it? So, that wasn't cool, because that game was probably about to be over. That game was probably about to be over, and then Pharaoh Brown fumbles it, and it kind of flips everything. So that's something that you can point to. But other than that, it was just kind of lifeless. It wasn't a bunch of turnovers that did them in. It wasn't a ton of sacks. It wasn't, a bunch of really inaccurate passes. It wasn't a bunch of running backs falling over themselves. It was just a generically lifeless game by the offense. And I don't know what to say about it other than that. I haven't moved on my position on Grubb. This week was better, but I think you're still seeing the bottom line native predictability in this offense, making it easy for the defense to play what we're trying to do. Like, there were some plays where the Bears seemed to defend us perfectly. Like, they were defending the stick route perfectly. They were defending, like that third down play where Gino almost threw it to the linebacker in the red zone. Everything's covered up. Like, it felt like they were just ready for it. And I wish Gino would just throw that ball out of bounds, but I look at that and I go, something's giving this away. And that's why I'm coming back to the Ryan Grubb thing. I don't have a lot of faith that he's going to figure it out this offseason. And I personally believe that there are people out there who are going to be able to get more out of this, even if they get one, even if they just get the one off season. So I don't know what else to say other than that, guys. I will be streaming a little bit later. I don't know if anybody's going to want to say anything about that game. I don't know if anybody's going to have much to get into with this game, but we won. We've locked up a winning record, and we got a game next week, and hopefully by the time we get there, the game matters. Even if the Rams win this week, the game might still matter. We just don't know. So all we can do is watch. All we can do is watch and then play as good as we can next week. And look, I mean, we play the Rams next week. That's also a team that's been kind of just squeaking by the last couple weeks. The weather will be better. I'm sure we won't see something like this. I'm sure you will not see 6 points. But right now, 6 points is what we're going to have to sit on for about 10 days here. But hey, again, I don't mean to take attention away from this defense that played almost a perfect game. Like, what else can you do as a defense other than that? It was as close as you can get to pitching a shutout, and I do appreciate that. And I'm not here to try to say that I didn't notice it because of the way the offense played. Thank you to BetUS for powering this video. Streaming later. See you guys later. Go Hawks.